everybody. Welcome back. This is Omnichannel Retail. I'm Ann Mazinga.
And I'm Chris Walton.
And we are coming to you once again from Shoptalk Europe from the Walmart Commerce Technologies booth number K30. We will still be here for a little while today. We're on stage in a little bit, Chris.
Yeah, in a few hours, but we've got a couple more interviews coming your way out there.
That's right.
OmniTalk fans.
That's right. So make sure to come by and say hello. We'll also be doing our Fast Five live from here tomorrow morning and streaming that out for everyone. But Chris, we have a very special guest here.
Yes.
Standing in between us is Baltazar Ozonek, the VP of AI and Innovation at Pandora. Baltazar, welcome. Thanks so much for joining us.
Thanks. Yeah.
Tell us a little bit. Why don't you go in and just kind of start with a little bit about you and about Pandora, if you don't mind.
Yeah, I will. So I've been at Pandora for the last 5 years, basically on the same mission, unlocking value from data.
Okay.
Different ways of doing that.
Okay.
And I work for the world's largest jewelry company, which is Pandora.
No, I didn't know this until you just mentioned this right before we got on here. But what makes Pandora, tell us a little bit more about Pandora that makes it the world's largest jeweler.
Yeah, so we are available in 100 countries worldwide. We sell north of 100 million pieces of jewelry each year.
Wow.
And we have a retail network of around 6,700 stores across the world, divided between owned and operated and franchisee.
Okay.
And then we have a massive e-com business as well, which is growing for obvious reasons.
And you're also vertically integrated, right? Am I correct in assuming that you guys own and operate everything all the way down to the factories as well? Is that right?
That's true. So we have factories in Thailand, actually just setting up a new one in Vietnam. And there we have 13,000 people, craftsmen, actually building the jewelry. So this is handmade, all the processes of silver, gold, and gemstones. And then we push that through our own infrastructure, our own supply chain up through the network. Yeah.
Your own distribution channels, right?
Yeah.
So what I'm curious. So AI and innovation, there aren't that many titles like that. There's more and more throughout retail. You've been there for 5 years. What was your background prior? What are you skilled in?
Yeah, what am I skilled in? That's a good question. I think what I found is that what I do well is translate business opportunity and challenge into technical requirements for a solution.
Okay.
And that's basically been what I've always been doing. So prior to Pandora, I used to work for IBM.
Okay.
A strategy consultant in the space of AI. And innovation, driving that towards different clients. And then spent a decade in different agencies. So WPP, Group M, trying to understand how we could create more relevant customer experiences using technology.
Okay.
What do you do then here at Shoptalk Europe? What's intriguing to somebody in your role? Because like Chris said, it's a very unique role, and your background is as well. But what kind of things are you looking into while you're here at the show?
So I'm very much looking into inspiration in terms of what comes next. I'm primarily focused on the great talks that we have in the different sessions. Some of the speakers bring some very valuable perspective that tells me something about where we are on our journey,
kind of benchmark,
and where we need to go. So, for example, today I was in a panel with two others. We had one from Zalando and one from Loewe, which was quite interesting because you will have Zalando, the pure play, the e-com focus,
right?
200 people, AI specialists driving optimizations. And then you will have Loewe, which is high luxury with some different brand dynamics. And then you have us as the Omnichannel brand cutting across all of that. And I can learn from all of those journeys in terms of what's next for us.
Yeah. Any particular takeaways that you recall or insights that you felt like you captured that you're going to go home and research when you get back on Thursday?
We actually talked about doing a shared hackathon, so bringing the teams together to learn.
Cool.
Did you really? Wow,
So-
that's
so
the first time I've ever heard about that at a
that-
conference. That's great.
That would be nice
Yeah.
across the companies and to learn from each other, right?
Yeah.
And then I think that is exactly the point. So what I learned is that it's very much about what type of company you are that defines what you need to do to unlock the value of AI. It's not the same for all of us. It's very context specific, you could say.
Right, and to that point, what did you share with the audience in terms of how you are looking at AI at Pandora and where you're seeing fruits of deployments or theories around it? You know, anything you can share there would be very useful.
Yeah, so I took the approach of perhaps a bit disappointing to the audience because I didn't bring any AI use cases.
Really?
I didn't bring up any flashy, this is how AI rules at all. My point was, and so the topic was AI and personalization, how do you scale?
Okay.
And my point is that if you really want to scale these things, you need to look at some very foundational stuff to have that in order. If you're in the marketing space, it's very much about understanding your customer experience. What drives that? What strategy, vision, roadmap? Because when you deploy AI into your customer experience, you want to protect your brand identity and guidelines. And sometimes we know that these AIs can be a bit creative and you don't want to
use glue in your pizza, for example, like we heard about last week, right?
Exactly,
Yeah.
right. And then a thing on operating model. Not a lot of companies like ours who are not a digital pure play have been set up organizationally to deliver on AI, right? So you need to rethink, how does your organization look like? How do you increase the literacy on what does it mean when we get these smart advisors and these tools that can actually automate a lot of things that we did manually before? You don't want to be surprised by that and throw in more noise in that corporate complexity which exists for all larger companies, right? And then of course something on your data and AI, the foundational stuff of, there's a big difference between doing an AI pilot, an AI proof of concept, and then deploying it in to an, major difference. And there are still a lot who are basically producing a lot of pilots because it's so difficult to get into that production.
I'm curious about this, too. Like, we've heard a lot. You have to get your data in order before you can even think about really deploying AI at scale, right? And kudos to you, because you're probably one of the bigger brains we've had on this show on this subject. And so, you know, so what does that mean though? Like tactically for the retailers that are listening that maybe aren't as skilled on the data side or the engineering side of doing retail, what does the average retail executive need to know to understand what you mean when you say you got to get your data in order?
Yeah. So it's all about data quality, right? And data quality starts with the people who are inputting the data into whatever system.
Okay.
So first you need to create the awareness that the data problem is a problem we all share.
Okay.
So if I input the wrong data or a bit sloppy with something when I'm entering stuff in store, then that will travel all the way into the insights and intelligence that we want to apply to that store.
Right.
So we're all accountable. I think that's the first part. Then I think it's about understanding that you can break down any use case that we want to deliver into its subcomponents of data requirements, tech requirements, and people capabilities.
Okay.
And in that data component, you need to create some awareness about what would be the value of having this data or this data or this data to inform whatever you're trying to build. The example could be, I can build a customer segmentation based on online transactions. It's easy. I get it available from my website. It comes in a nice clean format, and it will tell me something about my customers. The magic happens when I can also add offline transaction, because that's the complete picture, right? The other thing only shows me half or less of the truth. I need to understand how all the interactions across channels work for me to make informed decisions and have sufficient insights to how to drive the next best action towards those customers.
Where does that begin and end too? Like, I feel like you could almost like keep adding data to the data set as you go along. Like, how do you think about that question?
You measure the impact. You have some proper measurement and experimentation frameworks guiding this. You look for incremental gains in everything you do.
Got it.
And when those gains, they start flattening out, then you know that you've reached a point where you don't need to add anymore.
You've got as much as you need to in the model.
Exactly.
Okay.
So we're not in it to just make the model more complex, right? It's not. I'm sure if you went with some of the more hardcore data scientists in our team, they would just love to.
Right. Just
to
keep.
Do even more. Make it. But we also need to have a pragmatic approach. What's the commercial opportunity, and when do we see diminishing returns on our investment in these things?
Cool. And are those new measurement types than you've ever had before at Pandora, or is that just is it new to certain parts of the organization versus your department, or how do you think about kind of the KPIs that are driving success, continuation, those kinds of things?
I think it's new in the sense that they need to understand that there is methodology and approach that can prove is this incremental value or cannibalizing on something else.
Okay.
And establishing a standard across the company will make it, it's really worth it.
Yes.
Because then you get that all the discussions, is this really true uplift?
Right.
Is this true revenue, or is it just yet another number that someone brought in? Well, you can actually prove these things. It's called math and statistics.
Math works
it's
like
called
that, right?
math and science.
So math. Go ahead, Anne.
I was just going to say, so when you're thinking about your role and about what it means to be a true omnichannel retailer, what does that mean? What do you say? What did you say to the audience today? As people are looking to, truly become a a retailer who's great at omnichannel, and then how do you look at that at making Pandora be the best omnichannel retailer out there?
So, I think it starts with aligning towards the outcome that we want to drive, which is a customer experience, and that customer experience is tied to your brand. Whatever your brand is what you want to communicate through your customer experience. And that shouldn't change regardless of if it's offline or online. There needs to be a connection. It can't be that I walk into a physical store and I'm amazed and I get high levels of service, and then I enter the website and it's completely different. So you need to consider how you align those experiences across. Otherwise you will introduce noise, and it will make it more difficult to get that coherent brand feeling. So I think it's about treating all channels with the same respect, right? In terms of understanding, if we go for creating these very inspirational physical stores, flagships, etc., then let's put the same effort into some of the universe that we can do online. If we believe that we have a lot of stories to tell, let's not only keep them from one channel, but do them across channels. I think that's really key. Setting the same bar across will make it happen. And then understanding that each part of the journey, each part of the omnichannel journey is an opportunity not only to drive experience, but also to capture data.
Right.
You can actually get data from all of those touch points, and they will teach you something about how your journey works.
Well, that's what I wanted to end on with you too, because I think it is unique how the vertical integration that you have at Pandora in what is generally a very fragmented industry across every level, from the production even to the retail side of the business. Do you think that gives you a competitive advantage when you start thinking about understanding data across how everything is operating day in and day out?
Absolutely. I'm not saying we're there yet, because we still have a lot of cleanup to do, you could say. The way that we grew as a company was very fragmented. So the US, Australia, Europe, they were grown or developed autonomously, so not connected in any way. That's how we became the world's largest, by moving fast in all directions. But then what that leaves you with is a lot of legacy tech that you need to fix on the other side. We've come far in consolidation, etc., but we still need some way on that. So yes, the integration is and will become an even bigger competitive advantage for us and similar companies. You can see it as a signal can suddenly travel all the way through the company, right? I need to understand the traffic that will hit my stores. I need to understand how to stimulate that traffic, that is called media, right? That is all your marketing efforts. Then that traffic, when it enters the store, either online or offline, I can do something to convert it. I can understand how I optimize my conversion rate in store, online. Then based on that conversion rate, I know what to have in stock, the quantities, the price levels. If I know that, that's signal to production in terms of how much we... That's signal to raw materials and so forth and so forth. That's the dream. That's where we can go with data one time when we have all of it in place.
That's super cool, and I mean I think about the applicability for that with all the retailers that have own brands too. They might not be vertically integrated at the factories, but there's an element to what Baltazar's talking about that could apply to them too, and those that are in the audience watching right now. So man, that was great. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
This was spectacular. Thank you so much, Baltazar from Pandora, for joining us today. Thank you again to Walmart Commerce Technologies for making all of our coverage of the show possible once again. And until our next interview,
be careful out there.